We're here with Lisa Hrycan with Christians Against Poverty. Welcome.
Hi, thank you.
So what is Christians Against Poverty?
So Christians Against Poverty is an organization that works with local churches to provide free debt counseling and free money management courses as well. In some of the cities where we have a bigger presence, they also offer some help with kicking addictions and with finding jobs for people who have been unemployed a long time. So here in Saskatoon, we have what's called a debt center where we offer that free debt counseling through our church. Mm-hmm. And so what we do is we meet with people and we sit down, just anybody who is overwhelmed. So I have people who are on social assistance and have very minimal income. I have people who make a decent wage but are just still really overwhelmed by their financial requirements and debt, really. Mm-hmm. And so we just sit down and we get to work together to get a really clear picture of where they're at. And then I work with our team of professional debt counselors in Hamilton, where our head office is, to put together an advice and a plan for them. And then I myself, along with a load of volunteers from my church, help people to implement those plans and get on track and to feel back in control of their money and not so overwhelmed.
And is it free?
Completely free.
Well, isn't that wonderful? No strings attached.
Right? Well, when you're overwhelmed financially, having to pay someone to help you figure it all out just doesn't really make sense, does
You're right. Exactly. It doesn't make sense. So how did it get started, this organization?
It was actually started in the UK by a gentleman called John Kirkby. And he actually found himself in the place of really needing help. Mm-hmm. He was very, very overwhelmed himself, but he had worked in the financial industry, so he kind of knew how to put it all back together. And it was really, really difficult, but with the help of some good friends, he was able to kind of put things back together and get back into a better place for himself. And as he worked through that process, he realized that he had a really good system and a way that he could offer love to people who need love, people who are overwhelmed and often isolated because of their financial struggles. Mm-hmm. As a Christian, he wanted to just go and help people. His motivation was not to change people, but to just offer some just tangible help to people. As a follower of Jesus, that's what he wanted to do. And as followers of Jesus in our church here in Saskatoon, that's what we want to do, is just to reach out to people and let them know that they don't need to be alone in their struggle, because it can be very isolating.
It can
to struggle with finances.
And I think, it's a real need, because when you talk about your pillars of health, you don't often think of financial health as something that people need to work for or as a goal.
That's right.
And I often feel that it should be taught in schools. You know what I mean? Like, people are...
We're working on it.
Yeah, and that would be another place you could work at, but definitely. So what do people need to do then, if they want to?
So they can call our 1-800 number, and that will put them in touch with the folks at our head office. There's a quick little 2 screening questions. Basically, do you have an income? Any income, social assistance, a job, whatever, regular income, and are all of the people who make decisions about money in your house willing to accept help? Okay. If we have a husband and a wife who are not on board, it's really difficult to help a family stick with a budget if there's a couple or whatever who aren't prepared to work together on it. But that's it. That's the criteria for coming to us for help. And then we will sit down and just work through your situation with you and help you come up with a plan. And besides being free, I think the best thing that distinguishes our service from the other professional services that are out there to help with debt is the fact that I come with a whole church full of volunteers. So when there's stuff that is tricky with your budget that can be helped with someone's time, we can do that. So I had a lady, for example, who she lives in kind of an assisted living building, and she was paying for their cleaning service. She has MS, and it's really difficult for her to clean her place. And so she was paying for that service, but as we looked at her finances, we're like, we can't address your debt and still be paying for that. And so I just reached out to my church and said, is there anybody who's willing to come and help this lady just clean up her place once a week or every couple of weeks? And it actually turned out there were 2 ladies who kind of alternate. So we have volunteers who go in and help her do that. And that means she doesn't have to spend that money there. And she's got a couple of sweet, sweet ladies who come in and visit with her and help her every week, right? So it addresses that kind of social isolation as well as the debt problem, right?
Well, that is wonderful. And so do you need volunteers in your organization?
Well, I have a church full of volunteers, which is awesome. And it's really, really great. What we are looking for in Saskatoon is actually other churches who are looking to partner with Christians Against Poverty to do either what we do. So we have that debt center where we go and we offer that that face-to-face one-on-one debt counseling, but we also offer, CAP offers what's called a CAP Money course, which is that kind of budgeting class that you were talking about. And it's really, really fairly straightforward for a church to kind of connect with CAP, and we offer some training. We're going to be doing some of that here in the spring.
Okay, that's wonderful.
To train up some more churches in the city to be able to offer that course, which is just a 3-week, kind of 3 evenings over the course of 3 weeks. Little, here's how to make a budget. Here are all the things you need to think about to do that. Here's how to address your debt. Here's how to balance your budget. And the tricky bit, here's how to stick to that budget once you have it written down, right? Yeah. Here's some real tricks and tips to make that rubber hit the road and make it happen. And I do all of those things with my debt counseling clients as well, right? We don't just say, okay, here's your budget, go, go, go. You know, we work together with people, and the evidence of that, I think, is that once our clients are debt-free, the statistics in the UK where they've been running for longer are that 5 and 7 years out from going debt-free, 95% of people are still debt-free.
Oh, isn't that wonderful?
Yeah.
So I was wondering if some of the statistics around debt, because you hear that there's a lot of debt in Canada. We always talk about that. Do you know some of the statistics around that? Or?
Yeah, so I think the recent numbers are showing that half of Canadians would struggle to keep up with their mortgage if interest rates increased by even 1%, right?
So that's huge. That's a huge amount of people.
Yeah, and over a third are already struggling just to make their regular monthly payments, right? The commitments to keep your roof over your head and keep your power on and all of those things, right? So a lot of Canadians are struggling, and that was why Cornerstone Church, that's where I attend, decided that we really needed to do something tangible. We wanted to reach out into our community, and this partnership with CAP was such a great opportunity to really reach out and help the people who struggle the most, right? Because a lot of my clients are really isolated. They're by themselves. They don't have someone to help. And so we can step in and we can provide that help, and we provide some love and friendship to go along with.
Well, that's wonderful. So it's all done privately, or do they come to the church, or how does it work?
Usually go to people's houses if they're comfortable with that. Just if transportation is an issue, then it's not. I can come to them. I usually bring a buddy just for safety for them and for me, and we go to their home. If not, we'll meet in a public place too, or if they're comfortable and want to come into the church. But we do like to go right to people's homes and just sit with them where they're the most comfortable and help them. And often they need to go and kind of dig out some of their paperwork and bills to really get a good picture. So it's good to be at home where that's simplest. And so we sit together and we go through. I have this giant kind of piece of paper that's called a fact find, where we just sit down together and figure out where exactly the person is at with their finances, so that we have a clear picture that we can take away and say, okay, this is going to be the right way to work with you and work with your creditors. And that's the step, I think, that brings the most relief for our clients, is to just have it all out there. And then have somebody who is willing and able to contact the creditors on their behalf and arrange a payment plan that's sustainable and realistic for them, while prioritizing keeping a roof over people's heads and keeping their heat and their power and their connectivity, their phone, on, so that they can still be in touch with the world and still get to work and all of those things, but feel safe in their home and feel like that's their priority, and put the debt into its right place in the order of things.
Well, and it's so important, and I know people, when they get into financial trouble, are sometimes embarrassed about it and don't want to talk about it. But it's so nice that you have this service for people, that there is help for you, and you don't have to get overwhelmed, and that there's someone there that has practical knowledge, and that can help them. So what are some practical tips to not get in debt?
To not get in debt. Don't spend more money than you make.
That's a very good tip, that's for sure.
Big tip. I think that that one of the things that people don't learn is how to use credit cards. So we get a credit card and we're like, oh, I have $1,000 to spend. Let me go and spend it, but without thinking about how they're going to repay it, right? So staying out of debt is one of those, is there a little bit with just, you know, when I make a purchase, how am I planning to repay it? Having a budget and sticking to it. One of the things that can help people save money is to plan their meals, go to the grocery store with a list, that kind of thing you hear, and using cash for those expenses that vary in your life a little bit can really help you to stick within that budget. But for people who have just had life circumstances overwhelm them and they've gotten into debt, I just want to be really clear that there are lots of tips and tricks, but there is no judgment. I'm not going to come in and talk to you about all the mistakes you've made to get into the place where you're at. There's absolutely no judgment. We just come in and try and help make a plan and a way to move forward in a positive way, right? And yeah, like you were saying, it's scary to ask someone.
It is. It's
for
scary to
help,
ask for help.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah, so it's nice to kind of come and be here with you and let people know that it's me they're going to talk to.
That's wonderful.
And I'm safe and friendly, you know, and it's not, doesn't have to be so scary to ask for help, because that's absolutely what we're here to do. That's what we want to do for people.
And that's why you rock and why I wanted to have you on the show, because this is a very important aspect of life, and we don't want people to feel overwhelmed, and that there's good help for you. So thank you very much for being on our show.
Thank you.
That was Lisa with CAPS, or Christians Against Poverty.